Let me say that I want to put the attention on rethinking development. In my view, rethinking development means rethinking definition of poverty and the effect of policies pushing on growth as a prerequisite for reduction of poverty. Everybody knows that the new structural approach to development states that what separates growth in developing and developed countries is not just a gap in resources, but a disparity in knowledge. The accumulation, absorption, adaptation, transfer of knowledge are the center of successful development. There is no presumption that markets on their own will lead to successful outcome. A learning society means opportunity of growth. But the problem comes that while growth may be necessary for sustained poverty reduction, it is not sufficient. Not all development policies are pro-poor. Some are anti-poor. Now, I come to the World Bank goals in matter of poverty. The goals state briefly consist in the following: to end extreme chronic poverty in the world by 2030 and to promote shared prosperity in every society. The first goal is formalized as a target of bringing the number of people living below the poverty line to less than 3% of the world's population. Now, if you look to the first slide, following Professor Ravaillon, this is a slide. Each nation will grow, if a nation will grow at the rates that it did on average during the past 2 decades, and the distribution of income will remain unchanged over the next 17 years, global poverty, defined at $1.25 per day, will decline to 7%. In other words, will not make the target of less than 3% poor. So the problems come different for different regions: Sub-Saharan Africa, Southeast and East Asia. And let me say also that there is a conclusion based on the simple projection, because the projection make it reasonable to assert that reliance on growth alone is unlikely to get us to the target. And let me say also that the most important criticism to this approach pertains to the use of money, metric measure of poverty, instead of a multidimensional measure. The sheer prosperity index is prosperity based on 3 pillars: innovation-led growth, greater democratic voice, and the link between growth and equity in general. If we look at the problem this way, we have different trends in the poverty. Let me show a graph. This is this. You see, there is a difference for Sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, East Asia, and the Pacific. You see the color, and you see different outcome. Different outcome are implied by the good economy perspective that is linked to the increase of the incidence of inclusion in the labor market and relation between citizens, the propensity to invest in human capital, reduction in inequalities, a more inclusive social security. So my point is that differences in the way by which we define poverty bring to different conclusions about the outcome of MDG goals and results. let me just to make an example, and I conclude here. If you look to the inclusion as a metric for defining the way by which you can reduce poverty and considering equity and the links between citizens and the society, you see this graph shows that there is there is a link between low growth in some countries and widening inequality in others. This is the graph that seems to me very important to understand that you have to define first poverty and then to decide the policies. Thank you.